Retro Raw number 310, also May 3rd, 1999. A much better television show in every conceivable way. And
compared to that.
And it sucked. So we missed the debut of SmackDown, where the corporate ministry was unveiled.
Oh, is that where it was?
Yep.
I figured it was at the pay-per-view, but...
So, yes, it turns out Shane's been pulling the strings behind this whole ministry thing this whole time. And then on Heat... There's a bunch of nonsense with Vince and Taker, whatever.
Okay, here's what I got out of it.
Okay.
One sentence. Vince KOs his own son, eats a chair shot from Undertaker in saving Steve Austin. Shane beats up his dad, and Steve Austin gives Shane a Stone Cold Stunner.
Yep.
So Shane and the Undertaker are in cahoots.
Mm-hmm. They are.
And Vince McMahon and Steve Austin are currently in cahoots.
At this point in time, they have a common enemy. So then on Heat, the corporate ministry lays out Mankind, Test, Ken Shamrock, and Paul White. So the ministry comes out here on Raw. It's the corporate ministry theme.
There's so many people in this faction.
Dozens of people.
There is more people in this than there is in the NWO right now.
Hunter is out. Oh, but yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Hunter's out there dressed like Chris Jericho.
Looks exactly like him.
Yep. Got the long hair and the open jacket, no shirt. The corporate ministry theme, I think, is a cool song. Then we heard it 6 times in the first hour. Not cool no more. So Shane does generic pro wrestling bad guy promo 101. All you poor fans, I don't know what it's like to be poor or work for a living. I've got everything I want. I've got all the money and power I want. I'm not a loser like you. Hunter buries The Rock. So he stays up at night thinking of new catchphrases. And here's the first time they begin to plug the Over the Edge pay-per-views. We're going to hear those words a lot, and it's going to suck.
Yikes.
Yeah. Hey, one other thing real quick. In addition to the hotel block, we're also going to have a ticket block for All In. So all of you that want to sit together will be getting that information out very quickly as well. Anyway, back to Over the Edge, which we will not be reviewing here on the show. Yeah. Or the Raw the night after.
No.
Good.
So Hunter says his piece, and they go to Taker, who begins... It's quite simple. I hate everyone.
That's fair.
Bro.
Well,
yeah,
I'm with you.
That is simple.
Yeah.
Vinny wants to join your cult.
Yeah, I'll sign up. So he hates Austin most of all, runs down Austin for a while, paraphrases Jules in Pulp Fiction, and then Shane makes himself the special referee for the Austin Taker match because the only gimmick they had in 1999 was special referees. Shane starts to talk about Vince when out comes Mankind, Shamrock, Test, and Paul White. They have 2x4s. Yes, it's the debut of the Union.
How the hell long did this last?
Someone said like 3 weeks.
Okay, because I barely remember it.
Big Show and Taker are a tag team before too long. So
for 3 weeks, they just sit around a water cooler and drink coffee.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
So
let me talk about what Foley says here.
Okay.
He says the fans might hate Vince McMahon, but at least when Vince was in charge, they all got paid.
Yes.
Now he says our paychecks suck. Since when did Shane take over everything? Did I miss that?
He just did.
Then he says, if you guys mess around with our union, you'll find they'll have his testicles in ours. What?
No, it's something about how our paychecks are in your hands.
Right.
So your testicles will be in our hands.
They'll have his testicles in ours. Oh, our hands?
Yeah.
Then he says, let's go grab some balls, guys.
That is the quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, before that...
That's not in anybody's contract.
Right before that, he said, they are the union of people you ought to respect, son. Which, of course, he realizes spells out, up yours.
Ha ha ha.
Mick Foley was in rare form in the show, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
It sucked.
So they hit the ring, there's this horrible brawl, and Shane, Taker, and Hunter are like, no thank you. Keep us out of this bullshit.
Yes, please keep my balls out of your hands.
That too, yeah. Mr. Ass versus X-Pac.
First hour, all I heard was ass, 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 ass. Sick of this fucking gimmick. It's so stupid.
On SmackDown...
He's Mr. Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it says on his ass. If you don't believe his name, just read his ass. On SmackDown, the New Age Outlaws challenged X-Pac and Kane for the tag titles and were defeated, but afterwards, Billy attacked X-Pac and then beat him up again on Heat.
I wonder if that picture's on his driver's license.
So now, ass, mister?
No, just a picture of the back of his trunks.
It would fit.
Yeah.
It would totally fit.
Sorry, officer. I'm Mr. Ass.
So now in my notes here, I just refer to him because I call him by the last name. So it's just, I see things like Ass worked over X-Pac. And they're talking about how Mr. Ass has the potential to be the biggest superstar of all time.
So the biggest ass of all time.
X-Pac makes his comeback. He goes to the Bronco Buster. His balls land on Billy's foot. Ass followed with the Fame Asser for the win.
The Fame Asser. Mm-hmm. Then Billy kills him with a hard chair shot when Road Dogg runs in. If Road Dogg does not have CTE today, it's a miracle.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just one hard chair shot to the head after another every single time he's out there with gimmicks.
Yeah.
You know, I saw X-Pac work the Defy show this weekend.
Yeah.
What a friendly,
Hey, super nice guy.
Took time after the match to shake hands with every person in the building. Hugged my son.
Every person in the building?
I'm not kidding. He was so awesome. What a genuinely nice man.
Good. That's a good story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Billy lays out X-Pac and Road Dogg, and he leaves. Oh, Kane comes out, and Billy runs away. Shane is screaming in his locker room. The corporate ministry comes back out for another promo. So I thought, like, I legit thought my show had skipped ahead to next week. They were doing another show, because it felt like just Raw's opening, here's a 20-minute promo.
I can't handle this.
So he's talking, out come Vince with Linda and Stephanie.
Linda's here now.
Yeah. So Shane books a bunch of revenge matches against the Union guys. He books Test in a 4-way with 3 other Union dudes.
Linda.
Yeah.
We're less than a year away from this WrestleMania where, like, they're all in the corners.
Yeah. Books Mankind against the Acolytes in a hardcore match. Hunter versus Shamrock with China as special ref because they only have one gimmick and a special referees. That's all they had. Hit each other in the head or here's your special ref. And the Mean Street Posse versus the Stooges. And finally he says Big Show versus Undertaker.
Undertaker does not look happy about that.
No, this is not his idea.
So out of all those matches, you would be thinking...
Did we mention the Evening Gown match and Rock versus Austin in a lumberjack match?
He added those two as well.
Corporate ministry is lumberjacks.
Yeah.
So out of all those matches, you would think which one of those is going to be the best. And much to my surprise...
I didn't think that for 1 second.
No?
No, I didn't either.
I didn't care.
All I thought was we got an hour left. I don't think we're doing all these matches. They ain't going to be very good. And by the way, is he supposed to be a babyface or a heel?
Who?
Shane!
He's a heel.
Heel.
He signs a pay-per-view caliber card here for tonight, including an Evening Gown match with Deborah and Sable. Everyone's cheering him.
Well, everyone likes
guys are
boobies.
fucking idiots.
The one common ground between the heroes and villains is that everyone likes... It's the 90s. Everyone likes puppies because it's so funny when you say puppies instead of breasts. So, I want to go over where he books Rock versus Austin. But Hunter says, no, they're too smart for that. So Shane says, you're right. I'll make it a lumberjack match with the ministry as lumberjacks. They're not too smart to do that. They're dumb. They're too smart to just do a regular match, but they're dumb enough to go to a lumberjack match. This makes no sense. Anyway,
Great show, though.
Anyway, Shane wants to fight Vince. Vince refuses. Asks Shane to listen to his mother. Linda starts to talk. Shane slaps her. Vince grabs him, which is what Shane
I
wants.
thought he just told her to shut up. Did he actually slap her?
I'm sorry. Shane told her to shut her mouth. I got a slap on Nitro.
Yes.
Yeah. Vince grabs him, which is what Shane wants. Crowd is chanting for Vince to kick his ass, but Vince takes Linda and Steph and leaves. And then Shane says, I am the mastermind. I told Taker to abduct Stephanie. And the McMahons are fuming. All I can think is, so did you also instruct him to abduct Ryan Shamrock and hold her prisoner for a week? Where's the police?
You're overthinking this, Vinny. We don't want the police involved.
Shane says Stephanie's wedding dress was the bomb. The bomb.
Yeah, the bomb. .com.
Vince runs down, hits the ring, manages to slide in without tearing his quads.
I wrote that same thing, word for word.
The ministry puts the boots to him.
Stomped a mud hole.
They leave, and Vince accepts Shane's challenge.
You know, you said you don't want the cops involved. When they walked in, the McMahon family, they had 2 armed officers with them this week. Why?
Well,
I don't know.
You know, Linda, future political aspirations.
I see.
And the Mean Street Posse versus the Stooges.
I like this.
So Patterson and Briscoe come out.
This was awesome.
Patterson and Briscoe come out in their suits. One of them even had his jacket buttoned. He was so completely not prepared for the fight. And they attempted to talk their way out of this. And then Rodney and Pete pushed them, and Patterson and Briscoe unleashed hell.
They snapped.
You know what I loved about this was
The violence?
Briscoe and Patterson come out and they claim they're not in their gear.
Yeah.
And Lawler notes, well, the Mean Street Posse isn't in their gear either.
It's actually true.
He's right.
Yeah.
And man, when this brawl started, the Stooges they kicked their asses. The place is going nuts. Pat Patterson, like, in some ways, he's the best worker on the entire roster.
Yeah.
Sure.
In a lot of ways, because he was like his 60 or 61, like, you know, he just couldn't go. Like, he couldn't make him the champion. But man, for a 2-minute brawl beating up fucking geeks, he was unbelievable in this match. And Briscoe's doing all this amateur shit and
Throwing guys around.
smashing Rodney.
Rodney's fall out of the ring.
Oh,
He hit like all 3 ropes and the apron and then the floor.
Oh, you know, that reminds me. So, going back to Nitro very quickly, I'm sorry, Vinny. There was
I thought we were
a...
done with that.
No, I got to bring this up.
Okay.
So there was a match, and it was when Kevin Nash ran in after the Conan match, okay? So Kevin Nash is in the ring, and he's beating everybody up. And it ends up with Kevin Nash, Conan, and Bryan Adams in the ring together.
Yeah, we glossed over this.
And Bryan Adams is like backed up in the corner, and Conan and Nash are stalking him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, just drop out of the ring, you fucking moron. But he can't. So Nash is like waiting for the guy to leave, but he doesn't. So finally, Nash just rushes over and starts kicking his ass. Nash goes to clothesline this guy over the top. Adams does not want to go over the top.
Adams was me in the Shoot Battle Royal.
He wants to do the deal where he starts going over, but then he falls down and rolls under the bottom rope. Nash is like, motherfucker, you're going over this top rope. He clotheslines him and he leaves his arm on the guy's neck. And then Conan goes underneath his legs and he just goes, whoop, and he fucking tosses his legs in the air.
Yeah.
Bryan Adams flies backwards over the top rope. He ain't holding on to anything. And you just see his whole body just go BAM on the ground right there. I howled with laughter.
That warranted more discussion.
And in fact, he got back up, so he was alive. So I felt it was okay to laugh even more uproariously about it.
Shane and the Ministry had a meeting. They go to break. They come back. The Ministry is walking.
By the way, how did Patterson and Briscoe win?
Well, I'll redo what here I wrote down here. The bell rang, and there was a ref, but the posse just flew through the crowd, and the ref raised the Stooges' hands, and they were announced as winners, and that was that.
Yeah.
Count out?
They were
They didn't even have a match, but they were ruled the winners.
There was an opening bell,
I see.
but there was no closing bell.
I
So
see.
they were the winners via non-finish.
I see. Okay. Whatever. I'd have a match with Patterson today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Man, if Black Label Pro can get Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe for this match with Filthy and I.
Would you say that would be the greatest team of all time?
No, but I'd strongly consider it. I can't go against my word, though.
Test versus Big Boss Man versus Midian versus Viscera in a 4-way. They beat up Test for a while. He tried some kind of fireman's carry and dropped Midian on his head.
Dude, it was a DVD. Just dropped
If you
him
say so.
right on his neck.
Boss Man accidentally hit Midian with his nightstick. Test pinned him. The Ministry attacked. The Union made the save.
Awful.
Hunter and Taker beat up Vince in his office.
Bad.
Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon. Awful and bad.
Oh, dude.
Now listen, I'm the one who said we should not talk about Nitro anymore, but I do want to point this out. David Flair is so much better than Shane McMahon. So much better.
I'm thinking he's better than Vince.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Okay, so I got to mention something about Vince here. Like, I hate talking about people's brains and that sort of thing because it may strike too close to home because Vince can't remember anything, but this fucking guy, this was 19 years ago, okay? He's limping down the ramp. He's grabbing his ribs and he's doing the fakest limp ever, and suddenly he does a flare flop on the ramp.
Yeah.
I am absolutely certain that when he did his own bump for a flare flop, he smashed his head on that fucking metal grate so hard. I rewound it and I watched it over and over again because I'm like, there's no way that you can be walking and take a flare flop and hit your own goddamn head on the ground. There's no way. But he did. So he just smashes his fucking head on the ramp. He gets up and Shane runs out there, and Shane gives him a clothesline. Well, hold on. He takes his goddamn clothesline on the ramp. He falls back and hits the fucking back of his head on the ramp. This is coming one day after the opening segment that they showed where he took a fucking chair shot right to the goddamn head.
Yeah.
This is not good.
No, I agree. So Vince is getting up, and Shane goes to attack him. Shane attempts a move that may have been described as a clothesline. That's not what it was.
He got him.
I watched this, and all I could think was, if I were in charge of this company, I would never put this person in a professional wrestling match ever again based on that one move alone.
And I would applaud you for that.
He's still wrestling in 2018.
I know. Get in the ring. The match starts. Shane does more shitty clotheslines. Vince hits a shitty clothesline. Now, the place went nuts. This is a horrendous match, but it worked in the building. So there's a double clothesline and a double down, and Shane gets to his feet. And Shane and Vince both get to their feet, but Shane's back is to Vince. And Shane turns around and there's Vince. And Shane says, and I quote, "Holy shit!" Vince flips him off. He did a cutter. He did not do a stunner. He did a cutter.
Oh my God. This is this man's kryptonite. Yeah. Like, he cannot give a stunner
Or take
he
one.
cannot take a stunner. He had so many chances. Think about all the times we didn't see him take a stunner at the end of a Raw show.
Yes.
Sure.
All these years.
So he hits this stunner. Shane goes flying. Vince covers him. Just hooks him in deep, and he's hooking his legs so deep they're spinning in place.
Yep.
They're having to move to count. He counts 3. The place goes nuts. This was the worst match of all time for 1 minute, and then the best match of all time for 5 seconds. Crowd is chanting "loser" at Shane.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Mankind versus Acolytes in a handicap hardcore match.
Horrible.
So
That wasn't horrible.
no, it was
as bad
horrible.
as the other.
It was horrible.
Wasn't as bad as the other hardcore match.
So
It was better than the Hack's match with
oh
Bam
my
Bam
god,
Bigelow.
blew Hack Smash out of the water.
Yes.
Every time Foley goes into the ring to get a weapon, or every time the Acolytes hit him with a weapon, it's a shovel or a chair or the stairs.
Yeah.
Every time Foley goes into the ring for a weapon, it's a bag of cotton candy or a box of styrofoam peanuts.
Yeah.
So I guess the story is they knew where Mankind would go in search of weapons and planted horrible weapons there.
Or
Not only that, he didn't just take the actual weapons they'd used.
No.
He went to get other weapons, and
Yes.
when he found popcorn, he thought, well, shit.
Here it is. What am I supposed to do? Not hit him with it?
I think there was a ministry member under the ring, and every time they saw Foley, they would throw him
That
a
could work.
quote-unquote weapon.
That could work.
That's a lot of thought going into this shitty match.
Well, that's all I had time to do.
Bunch of chair shots. Powerbomb through 2 chairs and they pinned him. I think a fan threw a sock in the ring and Mankind was nice enough to put it on. Mm-hmm. Ken Shamrock versus Triple H with China as ref. How many themes did Hunter Hearst Helmsley have in 1999?
They're horrible.
And it's different every week.
Yeah, he had one. He had a different one last week.
Yeah.
It was a
So
lot better.
I don't know if you're all aware of this, but I hate the fucking
Heel ref,
heel ref gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
even when she's wearing shorty shorts.
China fast counts, but won't actually count to 3.
Right.
She'll go, oh, he kicked out. I must be fair. But I'll rake his eyes. Mm-hmm. I'll cover my eyes for low blows.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But goddamn, if he gets that shoulder up, no matter how fast I'm counting, I won't count 3. I don't give a shit what happened. I only know Hunter won. I was out of it. I was done with this match.
If it makes you feel any better, if you
won't.
take out that one cover where China fast counted but still stopped, everything else she did made sense for a heel ref. It was
A
only-
heel ref doesn't make sense. That's the
well,
problem.
there's that.
Here we go again.
So she helps Hunter a lot. Shamrock goes to suplex her, but Hunter cuts him off. Finally, she God, how long does it go? They did some more stuff. China low blows Shamrock. Hunter hits a pedigree for the win. And of course, even though it's a heel ref gimmick, even though it's 2 against 1, even though the whole point is they're out there to screw Ken Shamrock, when Hunter hits this pedigree, China goes 1, 2, 3, and he stayed down.
That's how powerful the pedigree is, Brian Alvarez.
I know.
Big Show versus Undertaker. It was short, but it was fun while it lasted.
This might have been their first
Oh my
match.
God. So they're having this damn match. Undertaker's
It was announced as
bleeding.
their first match.
Okay.
Undertaker's bleeding from the face, and he gets on the apron, and Paul gets a vial of something out, and he starts.
Paul Bearer, not Paul White.
Yeah, he starts pouring it on Undertaker's elbow. So, in storyline, the fucking announcers can smell this overpowering ether.
From the other side of the ring.
That is emanating from this guy's elbow.
Right.
But the referee and Paul White, they don't smell a goddamn thing.
No. No, they don't.
Did you notice that Show had put the blade on his pinky finger, and he actually put Taker in a rear chin lock at one point and probably bladed Taker's face?
Oops. No, I didn't see that. I did see him because the ether assisted sleeper does not work. So Undertaker grabs a baseball bat, and Big Show stands in the ring, takes a razor blade, and goes, meh. And then Undertaker breaks the baseball bat over Show's head. I'm going to say that again in case you are not paying attention, and perhaps I think I'm exaggerating. The Undertaker took a baseball bat.
It was
Yes.
wood.
And smashed it over the Undertaker's head. Now, I'm sure this is a gimmick bat, because after all, Big Show is alive.
Yes.
But if you're going to even do the spot, all I think it was, why not just shoot him with a gun? It'd be no more dangerous.
Well, you know, Vinny, eventually he brings out a sledgehammer, this Triple H,
That is true.
which is worse than a baseball bat.
That is true.
There's a big metal thing at the end of it.
That is true. So they showed replay after replay. All I could focus on was Show gigging himself and laughing. Deborah is supposed to face Sable in an evening gown match. Deborah comes out. Sable appears in the big screen saying Shane is cute, but she cannot accept this match. She is at Hef's mansion preparing for her second Playboy shoot. But she has a stunt double to take her place. And out comes Nicole Bass in a dress. Deborah is not down with this, so she just takes her dress off. Which is all she's ever wanted for weeks now.
That's true.
Is to get naked on TV.
I don't know why she came out with the dress on anyway.
That's actually a good point. So Nicole is not down with this. Nicole grabs her. Jeff Jarrett runs out, and for the second time in like 5 minutes, somebody has to have something broken over their head. You get a guitar shot to the head, and Nicole Bass goes down.
You know, there was a Nicole Bass lawsuit against WWE, and she claimed in her lawsuit that the Brooklyn Brawler had made advances towards her,
I see.
and she had turned him down. And as revenge, WWE had had Jeff Jarrett whack her with this guitar, which she claimed was not gimmicked.
Huh.
Now, God bless her, she has passed on. This sure looked like a gimmick guitar to me.
It exploded like one.
They had plenty of gimmick guitars on hand.
Yeah.
So Val runs out. Val attacks Jarrett. Val carries Deborah backstage, and Deborah seems fine with this. This is all she's wanted, is to get naked on TV and go fuck Val. They go to commercial. They come back, and now Jarrett and Val are brawling backstage. Jeff Jarrett's gimmick at this point was a cock blocker.
You know, speaking of people that have passed on, going back to Nitro here very quickly.
No, we're done.
All I could think in that Bam Bam Bigelow hack match is that Bam Bam Bigelow,
Right.
of the two of them, is the one who's dead and has been for 11 years.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sandman is still alive and kicking.
And
Yes.
working.
It's incredible.
You're not wrong. Rock versus Steve Austin in a lumberjack match. It went 20 seconds. Lumberjacks attacked for the DQ. Vince sends out the entire roster to make the save, and who is out there throwing punches but Paul White, the Big Show? Way to make a broken baseball bat over the head mean nothing. 10 minutes later, he's just back on his feet and doing fine.
He's a tough guy.
The Attitude Era was so shitty. It really is. It's shitty.
Yes.
It's indefensibly bad. And this is the better show. So it ends up with Rock and Austin and Hunter and Taker brawling on the stage. And Rock goes flying off the stage through tables, and Austin goes flying off the stage through
Austin,
tables.
who has a fucked up neck.
Yeah.
Like, I realized that they had two tables and everything down there, but you're throwing your guy.
The Golden Goose.
Your golden goose with a broken neck. You're throwing this fucking guy off a ramp through two tables. And it was a long way down.
That was huge.
I couldn't believe my
And
eyes.
it's not, by the way, it's not for like the big spot on a
No.
pay-per-view match. It's a throwaway, not even a go home, a throwaway end of Raw segment.
Yep.
They'll show it here, they'll show it when Raw opens next week, and they'll never show it again.
Yes.
And as I wrote here, this was a bad show, and I am very tired. And then I watched Nitro.
Oh, Vinny, what were you thinking?
What a trooper.
By the end of this, they're praying for the end.
Always watch Nitro
me, Lord.
first. Always watch Nitro first.
Usually it's done because I have time either the end of last week or on Monday to watch the show, and I watched Raw because it's shorter. I didn't do that this week. I went and watched Infinity War instead, which was a great idea, a great decision. It's better than Raw.
That was better than both of those shows.
It was.
Well, I should fucking hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be one goddamn terrible movie if it wasn't.
Good news.
I can't think of any movie I've ever watched that was worse than that Nitro.
Short list.
Name one.
Battlefield Earth.
There's no way. There's no way. If you watched it again.
Not only is it worse, it
No.
makes less sense.
Nitro? Get
Yes.
the fuck out of here. That's
Yes.
impossible.
Yes.
Don't make me watch it with you, Vinny.
We'll do a Battlefield. It's been 20 years. I think I can handle it one more time.
Well, listen, if we do it, I'm going to make you watch that Nitro. We'll watch them back to back.
Why do you like punishing yourself?
Which one would you watch first?
I don't understand.
Like, which one do you want to end on? Exactly.
This is an issue.
All right, get your list out.
The finishes on this show were everyone get your popcorn, buckle up, hit pause on this show, go hit the bathroom. This is going to take a while and it's going to be worth it. Pin after defensive nutshot. No finish, but somehow a winner was declared. Pin after one guy accidentally hit his own partner with a nightstick. Clean pin of a man by his own father. Pin in a hardcore handicap match. Pin thanks to crooked ref. DQ due to baseball bat attack. Forfeit in an evening gown match.
I said it.
And double DQ when the Lumberjacks attacked in 30 seconds.
God damn, I had to go through that song twice.
What a horrendous show.
Did we ever find out why X-Pac got kicked right in the fucking yarbles and they didn't call for disqualification?
I can only assume it's because he was flying through the air and Billy was defending himself.
He was doing an offensive move, and
That's such a stupid.
that's not the first time they've done that
He
spot.
kicked him in the balls with his
Yeah,
foot
he
in
held
front of the referee.
He held his foot up and X-Pac landed on it.
That's just lame.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about this Raw, which was unopposed.
Unopposed.
Right.
Has there ever been a more obvious unopposed edition of Raw?
No.
Talk about not giving a fuck about anything on this show. This show was so boring. This is the kind of show that Vince Russo points to and he goes, nobody wants to watch long matches. Because, man, I booked some long matches on a Raw that was unopposed.
You did?
And nobody gave a fuck. On this show, how long were these fucking matches?
Did I watch the wrong one?
Hours long.
Well, I guess we'll get into it.
Well, let's begin.
WWF Monday Night Raw 311, May 10th, 1999. Corporate Ministries walking around backstage. So up front, you got Hunter in jeans and a fanny pack. Shane in like slacks and a polo shirt. And The Undertaker in his big giant robe, which is getting caught on everything he walks by. And then you have the Union with Vince McMahon, with their 2x4s, and a 3-man riot squad.
Now listen, Battlefield Earth is worse than this Raw, but I'm not sure there's anything in Battlefield Earth more preposterous than this Undertaker walking around in his goddamn robe all over the place. He comes to the building in this,
I guess.
he just walks around backstage in this robe.
Airport security. Just
This is bizarre.
a giant man in his even oversized robe. Kane versus Mr. Ass. Here in the opener, they had a hot blonde and a pink dress come out of the crowd and give Billy a hug. And
Should
security,
have kept her around all night.
security took her away. So Kane's beating Billy up for a while. Billy misses, or he takes a bump for a kick that missed so bad the announcers can't even try to cover it up. Said he slipped and stuff.
He slipped.
So Kane's on the apron, about to climb into the ring. Billy drop kicks him, and Kane manages to bump first to his ass in the apron, and then he gets his leg caught on the ropes, and so he's left hanging upside down, but he swings his head back. And I screamed, but he had it set up so it's between his foot on the ropes and his hands on the ground, he did not hit his head on the ground. But it was terrifying to watch this giant monster take this fall. So Billy keeps punching Kane until Road Dogg and X-Pac make the save. Road Dogg and Mr. Ass brawl through the crowd. Somewhere in here, the bell rings, but there is no announcement. Just a bell rings.
Oh, the match is over.
As apparently. But hey, on this show, that's
Who needs finishes?
we got. At least we know there is a point where the match has ended.
You see, Vinny, it doesn't matter why the match ended. All you need to know is the match is over.
The match is over. And as I say, on this show, that's a good thing to have. Then D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry run out. They attack X-Pac and Kane. Ivory is still with them. I have no idea who I'm supposed to cheer for in any of this. And Kane and X-Pac recover. They chase the challengers to the back, and that is that.
Kane's upside down with his foot caught in the ropes, hanging there. They're trying to get him out, and they can't. Kane debuted in what, 97? It's 99?
As Kane, yes.
It's been 2 years? Yeah. Okay. This was the first time in his entire career as Kane that he looked like a complete fucking geek. Well. He looked like such a geek, hanging upside down by his foot, stuck.
It was impressive to see him actually lift himself up and do a
sit-up.
A huge sit-up.
Yeah.
He's a big, strong, jacked up dude. I hope he can do one sit-up.
From hanging upside down?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had lots and lots of clips of the union and the corporate ministry walking around.
There was a lot of walking.
How big is this building? Where are they going?
In circles, obviously.
Yeah. So the union comes out for a promo. They immediately call out Shane and the ministry, so we got 5 straight minutes of nothing but entrances. The evolution of Hunter Hearst Helmsley continues. He's full-on team water bottle at this point.
Yes.
Every time he walks on screen, takes a swig of water. So Shawn Michaels appears on the big screen for a promo in what had to be the most laid-back, boring Shawn Michaels promo of all time. Like, it was like there was a baby in the room. He didn't want to wake the baby up.
I liked it.
He starts...
Am I the only one?
Yes. He starts out by changing the over-the-edge card. He says, I see here the main event is Steve Austin versus The Undertaker with Shane as special ref. Let's make Vince a special ref too. Now, I realize in the big picture it doesn't matter, but boy, that sounds awful. So for tonight, he books, I don't know, a dozen matches.
We got Farouk versus Bradshaw in a lumberjack match with the union as lumberjacks.
1.
Mm-hmm. Nightstick on a pole.
Right.
With Test and the Big Boss Man.
2.
Patterson and Briscoe versus the Mean Street Posse with the losers leaving WWE forever.
3.
Like a goddamn mark, I was like, God, were they only around for that long? Little did I fucking know. Of course not. Shamrock versus China.
4.
The Big Show versus Paul Bearer.
5.
Where if anyone interferes, The Undertaker sacrifices his title shot at Over the Edge. Viscera and Midian versus Cactus Jack in a hardcore handicap match.
6.
He's a babyface. The advantage is for Cactus Jack in this handicap match, in his mind. Sable versus Deborah in an evening gown match because he says, we have to have the chicks.
7.
Yeah.
Says if Sable does not show up, he will strip her of the one thing she hasn't taken off, her woman's title. And in the main event, Undertaker, Triple H, and Shane McMahon versus Rock, Stone Cold, and Vince McMahon with a special referee, he says. Mm-hmm. And he reveals that the 3 Riot Squad members are, in fact, Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson, and yes, himself.
Yes.
It was a taped promo. And he does his dance, and that was that. I like this segment.
Now, in the Big Boss Man and Test match, he said the first guy to get the nightstick can use it, and they can stick it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
That's
up his ass.
That's a heck of a stip.
Yeah.
What does he has to? So he can if
he
wants
can.
to.
He can.
It's a legal maneuver.
Is that how you win?
No, he just said you
want to.
can.
Yeah.
I see.
We won't stop
Yeah.
you. So 8 matches. And by the way, wasn't one of the steps of Shawn being commissioner that he cannot book Stone Cold? That's Vince's job?
Well, you know, Stone Cold never came out, so maybe that is the case. And then later he decided to come out.
I see.
Yeah.
So yes, they did the big reveal and the big dance. And Shawn in the ring was, it was Shawn Michaels, thank God. And not the Quaalude-induced coma that Shawn was in the pre-tape promo. They replayed Undertaker breaking a baseball bat over Show's head from last week, only they redid the commentary.
Which led to nothing, by the way.
Yeah, he came out 10 minutes later and he was fine.
Yeah.
So, it's no longer officially on the record. There's no longer a baseball bat. It was a club.
Oh,
I guess they're worried about children.
Yeah,
Right?
kids can't find clubs.
They can't. Well, they have bats all around the house, but no
Sure,
one has
yeah.
a club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Show versus Paul Bearer. So Bearer doesn't come out. Then he does, and then he says he won't wrestle. Out comes Shawn, who at this point is dressed exactly like Roman Reigns. And
Oh, yeah, he's still in his...
tag gear.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he forces Paul to waddle down to the ring and roll under the ropes. Lawler says, "Lay motionless on the ground like a slug. That's your best defense." I laughed. So Show hits a big boot and Bearer just falls down. And then
Stays there.
Big Show does the lightest elbow drop you've ever seen a 500-pound man do.
Good.
Yeah. Then he asks Shawn to waive the no interference stipulation so Taker can come out and get his ass kicked. And Shawn agrees. More entrances. Taker comes out, but he stops short of the ring. Out comes the rest of the ministry. Out comes the Union. They chase the ministry away with the 2x4s, and they go to commercial. So, unlike the opener, where at least we got a belt in the match, nothing happened here. They rang the bell to start the match, nothing happened, and they went to commercial.
You know, I'm not one of those Roman Reigns haters or anything like that, but man,
Good.
Shawn Michaels at 25% is 200% of Roman Reigns.
Well, yes.
That flak jacket.
Write that down.
Yeah, Shawn was great. Okay. Sable versus Deborah in an evening gown match.
Holy shit.
Before we begin, I want those of you who did not see this show, do not remember, we're not making any of this up.
No, hell no.
What happened here actually happened on a television show watched by millions. So Deborah comes out in her evening gown. Sable comes out in bra and panties, high heels, and I guess you call it a nightie.
A robe?
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of.
If the idea,
It's kind of like a cape made out of silk.
yeah, and it had sleeves, but if the idea of an evening gown match is to strip the opponent of her evening gown, Sable appeared to have already lost.
It's true. You would not go to a ball in this.
No.
I mean, well, maybe it's playbook match.
Depends on the ball.
I'll let you guys walk yourselves out of that one. So, if in the 0% chance that Brock Lesnar is listening to the show, I want him to know that everything that I'm about to say was not said by Vincent Verhey, it was said by Shawn Michaels in 1999.
That's good.
Lawler asks if Sable is horizontally accessible. Shawn says she's accessible every which way. Sable talks about the men who come to see her. And Shawn asked about, quote, those of us who have had you. And then he also had a line about Sable enjoying the microphone near her mouth.
Huh.
Yeah. So, Sable flashes her thong. The bell rings. Let me say that again. It's an evening gown match where Sable began by flashing her thong. Then the bell rings. Out comes Val Venus. He begins to flirt with Deborah.
She's just a very confident champion, Vinny.
I guess.
Yes.
So, Val's flirting with Deborah. Sable jumps Deborah from behind, tears off her evening gown. The bell rings. That was quick, Shawn notes.
Yeah.
Nicole Bass comes out. She stalks Val up the ramp. Jeff Jarrett comes out, breaks a guitar over Val's head. They both disappear. Michael Cole gets in the ring to interview Sable, but Shawn interrupts.
Because, man, we got to get her thoughts on this match.
Yes.
Sable, tell us about this match.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
We don't ordinarily
Having defeated
do.
Deborah in this classic encounter right here.
We don't ordinarily do in-ring post-match interviews, but man, we got to know what you're thinking.
We must get her thoughts on this. Maybe she'll take her clothes off, I'm sure he was thinking.
So Shawn interrupts, and I am paraphrasing. I didn't write it down word for word, but this is what he said.
I'll say it.
Okay.
He says, I see an evening gown match differently. The rules. As far as I'm concerned, with puppies like Deborah's, especially puppies we have not seen before, in my mind, the woman who gets her gown ripped off is the winner. And so he takes the belt out of Sable's hands. He gives it to Deborah.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody, Mookie, whoever, this had to be the most bullshit title change in the history of professional wrestling up to that point in time.
Ever.
Has there ever been a worse one? They had a match. They did the match with a finish.
Sure.
Granted, not much of a match. And a guy just comes in and says, I'm going to give the belt to the other guy. Or gal.
It would be as if after the Backlash show, after Roman pinned Joe, if they suddenly announced, wait, the man who gets his shoulders pinned is the winner.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would have been cheered at Backlash, but
I even think stuff like whatever happened to the light heavyweight title was not this stupid. What, like Dwayne Gill somehow won it?
he won it.
I mean, it was
He
still
beat
like
a guy and won it.
Yeah, I swear to God, this was the most bullshit title change that had to have ever occurred on the planet Earth prior to this moment.
When you think about BS title changes, you think about the finger poke of doom. But a man was actually pinned,
Hogan pinned Nash.
and it was awarded the title.
Yes.
This was worse.
Yes. So, after this officially recognized championship title switch, which you can find on the WWE record books, it happened, it counts. Just try explaining any of this to your non-wrestling friends, non-wrestling fan friends.
It's easy. Just say what Shawn said. They'd be like, cool. Sounds good to me.
Test versus the Big Boss Man in a nightstick on a pole match. This sucked. This is a horrible match.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about when you were acting like there weren't any long matches on this show. This was the longest fucking match I ever saw in my life. They
went at 4 minutes.
No, they fucking did not. Bullshit. 4 minutes? No way.
I didn't think it was long. I just thought it was horrible.
No, Craig. Get out of here. You're both lying to me.
It wasn't that long, dude.
They went 14 minutes. It was astoundingly boring. They just kept going forever. Fans started doing the wave. And then, of course, everyone's favorite pole finish. Test got the stick first, but he's a fucking geek.
Right.
So Boss Man whacks him with a gimmick, gets the nightstick, hits Test, pins him. This was horrid. I have no good things to say about this. It sucked.
It's really bad.
It was bad. We mentioned Boss Man pulling Test's pants down, so we saw his ass.
Oh yeah, his ass came out.
Yes. Dueling Mr. Asses on the show. You talked about the finish. Okay. Val Venus cuts a backstage promo on Jeff Jarrett, challenges into a match tonight. Hey, at least this was a good promo.
All right, hold on here. So 1990.
Are you looking up the time?
I got the match here. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking at the title lineage here. So you got to remember that like Alundra Blaze was a champion in 1995, and then she threw it in the garbage can.
Right.
So we didn't have a champion for 3 years. And then Jackie won it, beating Sable. Sable won it from Jackie. All it says is Shane McMahon was a special guest referee. And then Deborah is here as the champion. This was an evening gown match. Sable had defeated Deborah in the match, but Commissioner Shawn Michaels stated that Deborah was the winner because she had lost her dress and awarded the championship to her.
Yeah.
It's on WWE.com?
Yeah. No, that's on Wikipedia.
But still.
Okay.
Well, as long as we're looking things up, Boss Man and Test went a little more than 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I knew it wasn't 4.
It wasn't 14, though.
It was 30.
Cactus Jack versus Viscera and Midian in a hardcore handicap match. Mm-hmm. So if Cactus Jack is so dangerous that it's fair to in fact, to his advantage, to match him up against 800 plus pounds of opponent, why isn't he Cactus Jack all the time?
It's just one night only, baby. It's very important that he wears that white button-up shirt and the tie all the time.
That's a great question, Vince. My question is, why the basketballs?
They were in Orlando, and Orlando had a basketball team.
Lots of places have basketball teams.
Even I knew that.
That's the best I can do. I don't know.
The Orlando Jordans. No?
No.
Rob thought it was a funny joke.
It's because he's the man.
So...
paid.
I don't know how long this went. Let's say 5 minutes. They hit each other in the head over and over and over and over again. And Jack hit the cactus elbow on Viscera and pinned him to win.
Sucked.
Yeah.
Teddy Long was the ref. I don't know how long Teddy's been a ref.
So what? He's been around forever as a ref.
Has he? Okay. That just occurred to me.
And by the way, Midian absolutely clobbered Cactus Jack at one point with a chair.
Yeah, he did.
Right in the side of the ear.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
So Jack is leaving, and just as they go to commercial, I believe Bruce Pritchard ran out to collect all the plunder, and the basketballs, in fact. Cole interviewed Chyna in the back. She obviously got a promo. She's on a period, she says. The balls are in her court. She might rip them off and step on them.
Ho ho ho! Ha ha! Cool.
Steve
I'm over this show.
Steve Blackman hype video.
I'm over this day.
Which
This
is
week.
Oxymoronic. Bradshaw versus Farouk in a lumberjack match. So they say they're not going to fight. Then they start to argue about who's tougher. Mm-hmm. So they start fighting. Mankind comes out. Not Cactus Jack. Mankind comes out.
Yeah, it was one time only, Vince.
Yep.
Till the next time.
So the crowd enjoyed this for like a minute.
Shit's got to make sense on this show.
And the novelty wore off quickly. Out come the NWOB teamers, really. Of Viscera, Midian, and them. Union hits the ring. They trap Viscera. They beat him with 2x4s. The Union's music plays. There is no bell. There is no finish. It just stopped.
Yeah.
Patterson and Briscoe are backstage bragging about all the legends they've beaten. Ray Stevens. I beat Bockwinkel. I beat the Funk Brothers. I beat Ric Flair.
It's all true.
It was great.
Yeah.
Mean Street Posse versus the Stooges, and a loser leaves WWF Forever match.
It was funny is last week the Stooges were so over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this week it's like, well, we're going to get him over, dude. Let's play real American when they come out.
Yeah.
Let's have them wear shirts. Let's like make stars out of them. I mean, the match was fine. Last week's match was way better. They just slammed Patterson outside. Briscoe fires up on the inside, which was great.
Gerald Briscoe was legit the third best babyface in the show.
Yes.
Behind Rock and Austin.
They're about to whip him, and Patterson makes a big comeback with his helmet, and then we got a combo
Riot
figure
gear helmet, I
four
should clarify
and
that.
Boston Crab for the pin. Vinny, I can't believe you just said that.
Oh, we have confused listeners here.
No, we didn't. Now we have appalled listeners.
I'm not appalled.
I'm disgusted.
So yes,
It's 2018.
double submission finish.
God damn it, Vinny.
The
Must
best,
we?
This is the best thing in the show. And then Patterson removes his shirt and does the Hulk Hogan flexing, and Jim Ross notes he's
You want
single,
to talk
fellas.
about his knob now?
No, I'm good.
Because he got his shirt off? Anything else?
No, I'm good. Brian's very delicate today.
I am very delicate today. I could burst into tears at any moment. Ross did say he's singles late. He's singles, guys.
Fellas.
Fellas?
Yeah.
Was it fellas?
It was fellas. Maybe he was talking to
Yeah.
Sheamus.
Maybe he was thinking of that same line about the helmet.
So Shamrock does a very low-key, almost out-of-character promo saying, listen,
I have no standards on this show, but sometimes I got standards. That was too much for me. I can't let it go.
clearly, you've got a good firm grip on
How long you been? Get out of here. You're just the worst.
If I were
Doing that in Battlefield Earth.
if I worst, you mean best. Shamrock does a very low-key promo saying, listen, I grew up in a lot of group homes. If you hit a woman, there would be a very serious price to pay.
Well, I should hope so.
And I know Shawn Michaels thinks he's done me a favor by booking this match, but I don't know what's going to go on out there tonight. Jeff Jarrett versus Val Venus. We finally get a professional wrestling match between full-time professional wrestlers on this here professional wrestling show.
And it was fucking boring.
Well, it was. Nobody cared about it at all.
Just went on forever. They're chanting, "We want puppies."
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
That's true.
And then Val is going to go up top for the money shot. Deborah jumps up on the apron, reveals her bra. This fucking idiot jumps down and decides, now's my chance to make out. He goes, they start just slobbering all over each
He
other.
gave her a hickey.
Jeff hits him with the belt and fucking pins him.
Yeah.
You absolute geek.
Of all the people on this roster, by the way, to be distracted by boobs,
Thank you.
the porn star,
Yeah.
like you never seen them before?
He can't help himself.
I guess not.
It's an addiction.
Speaking of boobs, it was a beaver cleavage promo.
Gosh.
If you like jokes about hairy beavers and split beavers and working your knees, you'll like this.
Oh, you trying to be above it after your fucking helmet joke?
My helmet joke was much funnier than this.
By the way, Ross and Lawler, after that Val Venus match, theorized that maybe Deborah had outsmarted Val.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of blood going to his brain. But
Okay.
This beaver cleavage thing,
Sucked? I know.
this is a son and mom?
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Hello?
Ew.
Yes.
Yeah. Where were you last week?
It just dawned on me this week.
This is like the third time they've done this.
Understood?
Yes. It's an incest joke. The entire gimmick. The gimmick is incest
Craig,
is
you're
funny.
the one that
Ha-ha.
brought up a couple of weeks ago about Vince and Stephanie.
No, I didn't bring that up. You brought that up.
No, somebody asked, oh, it was you? All right, well, where were you?
I was sitting right here.
Well, turn your ears on. Have your headphones muted? How the hell did you not get that was an incest angle? For 3 weeks now. It's a guy with his mom. He's talking about her tits.
Isn't it-
What the fuck more do you need?
Stepmom?
China
That's
versus
not
Ken Shamrock.
incest. Jesus.
Check Vinny's history. I bet you can find some.
How dare you? China versus Ken Shamrock.
I'm not sure now.
Hunter finally gets his theme song. Had a different song every week this whole year. And they would add the DX band to add lyrics to this later, but this is his theme song pretty much forever until he got Motorhead involved. So Shamrock comes out. He refuses to fight. Why did he come out then? Threatens to beat up Hunter. China slaps Shamrock. Kenny replies by turning his back and yelling at the top of his lungs, "Fuck!"
Twice.
Then he says, "Fuck!"
I counted 5.
Oh, really? I only counted 3. So finally, Shamrock is angry. He grabs China by the throat. Hunter jumps in from behind. They ping-pong him back and forth a bit. He bellies to bellies China, gets pissed at himself, walks out, says, fuck, again. That was it.
I don't blame him. Yeah, that was it.
So they show Rock, Vince, and Austin all on, not together, but on 3 separate screens walking. Why was Steve Austin wearing these bright red shorts?
Why the hell was Shawn Michaels wearing those?
And then, if I wasn't appalled enough, because at least Austin's were gym shorts, Michaels was those notorious those shorts. And when he came out for the main event and he posed on the top turnbuckle, I take back everything I ever said about those Michael Hayes tights a few months ago. These were 100 times more revealing.
You could tell what religion the man was.
He may as well have just been nude.
There was his helmet.
Yeah, yes. You're catching on.
Yeah, that was there too.
Yeah. So the match happened. Triple H and Undertaker and Shane McMahon versus Steve Austin and Rock and Vince McMahon. Everyone brawled everywhere. Rock apparently has a broken arm now.
They said he broke it last week. I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Fucking Big Show got hit with a baseball bat. He's fine, and somehow Rock broke his arm. Was he doing a bad people's elbow? I don't remember this.
So Austin comes out late to a huge ovation. Everyone starts doing stuff. It comes down to Vince and Shane alone in the ring. Austin appears. He stuns Shane, and Vince makes a cover, but Austin pulls Vince off, stuns Shane again, and this time he pins him, which technically counts as a clean pin. And the show pretty much instantly went off the air, and I was exhausted.
Yeah, but you know what? That was an awesome finish.
Sure.
Because Vince and Steve Austin
Are not friends.
like Vince is a babyface now.
Yes.
Austin still hates the guy.
Absolutely.
He's always going to hate the guy.
Yes.
Until fucking 2001 when they almost killed the company. So Austin hits a stunner on Shane. Vince is right there to make the cover. And Austin's like, fuck you, you're not making this cover. I stunned the guy. Yeah. And he's Steve Austin, so he stuns him again, and then he pins him.
Yes.
It was awesome. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of shit that's missing today. Like, the show is so bad, except for everything involving The Rock, Vince McMahon, and Steve Austin. That stuff is fucking amazing.
Yes. Sure.
So yeah, I loved this. And there you go. That's the show.
That was the end. How long is my theme music? We may need 3 or 4 editions.
I can play it again, you know.
All right.
All right, here we go. Which one do I usually play for you? You don't know.
I don't know it.
That one.
The amazing, ridiculous, preposterous, unbelievable finishes on this show were DQ or countout or no contest where I don't know who won or lost or if it was a draw. Bell never rang, so I assume a no contest. Clean finish in an evening gown match, but oh wait, the rules of the match were changed after the fact. Pin in a nightstick match after the wrong nightstick was used. Pin in a handicap hardcore match. Double submission in what I assume was a no DQ match. Pin after distraction and belt shot. No match when one of the fighters came out but then refused to fight. Clean pin in a 6-man tag, and even then one guy refused to let his partner get the pin and had to get it himself.
Well, that's okay. Whew. Yeah.
Retro Raw 312, May 17th, 1999. X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Kane versus Billy Gunn, D'Lo Brown, and Mark Henry. Jim Ross says X-Pac and Road Dogg are carrying on the tradition of DX. Mm-hmm. Because if there's one thing DX was known for, was tradition. So they had, while this match lasted, it was fun.
Sure.
And then Road Dogg made a great comeback. It broke down to a 6-way. Everyone paired off and brawled. Some guys went north, some guys went south, some guys went west. Nothing else happened. And then the Corporate Ministries music played and they came out for a promo. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do a count out.
Dude.
I assumed that's what it was.
Just ring the bell.
Just ring a fucking bell.
Didn't ring the bell. This match still going on today.
Yes, in 2018, this match continues.
Yeah.
With no finish.
I got to say, this Road Dogg, incredible babyface.
Yeah.
Great worker. Mm-hmm. That's all I got to say.
Well, you're right. You are right.
I liked it while it lasted.
It was a fun match.
I was infuriated when they didn't ring the bell.
So the Corporate Ministry comes out for a promo.
And you know what? They couldn't ring the bell because Shane McMahon was going to come out and say Armageddon is coming. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's one thing to not have a bell because, like, a big major angle is taking place.
Yes.
Shane was coming out to tell us Armageddon was coming.
Shane says, fate disabled the union's car. They're late to the building. Vince will feel pain tonight, and he leaves. Useless.
Who's fate? I'm just kidding.
I love how he had to reveal that they ruined the transportation of the union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As opposed to making Vince worry about it. Like, where the fuck are they?
I don't know.
Now he told him.
So Vince is in his office with the Stooges.
So dumb.
He tells them to prepare for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
They lock the door. They put a couch in front of the door. Should have been like the chase scenes in a 1970s movie that start pulling down all the shelves behind them.
70s, we got 1960s Batman TV here in this segment.
It's true.
So Shane and the Ministry are there. They want to go into Vince's office. Viscera tries to break the door down. The Stooges tell Vince, check the closet for weapons.
That's where you keep weapons.
Because closets in arenas around the country have swords.
Well, I mean,
Look,
maybe
a
anything.
bazooka.
It could be a sledgehammer,
Yeah, well, you never know.
Sure.
as we found out later in the show.
Well, there was no sledgehammer. What happened was Vince opens the door. It's like a Jack in the Box. He opens the door. Undertaker's hand shoots out and grabs him by the throat, and Vince goes, "Ah!" Vince roaring is never not funny. Even we're supposed to sympathize with them. So Hunter's in there too. He jumps out. The lights go out, and yes,
China.
and China.
Undertaker, Triple H, and China are hiding in the closet. They drag. Undertaker drags Vince in.
God, I don't want to do two of these shows.
It literally, the screen goes black, and you just hear ah.
There's like stuff falling down.
It's like comedy.
Yes,
But it was supposed to be serious.
there should have been like cats screaming and chickens clucking, any other random sound effect, water splashing. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Car horns honking, whatever. They go to break. What a ridiculous show I wrote down. We're one segment in. After the break, Vince is in a neck brace. He's being wheeled out by EMTs, and that's that.
And they didn't lay a finger on the Stooges.
The Stooges did nothing. Well, comedy's over.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, this sucked.
Jeff Jarrett, this fucking sucked. Jeff Jarrett and the Blue Blazer versus Val Venus and Godfather. So Owen's coming out in the fucking Blue Blazer costume, and then they cut to a shot of the ambulance driving away.
Yeah, sucked.
Fuck.
We haven't even seen him forever.
No, this fucking
He's just totally randomly back as the Blue Blazer. Somebody had the idea. He's gonna fall into the ring. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that's what happened. They have a shitty match.
They had a fucking awful match. I don't even remember it. I was
Godfather
too busy thinking
chop
about the fucking-
blocked Heat. Godfather Pinzone DVD. Nicole
Yeah.
Bass was out there. There were women out there. They chanted, "We want puppies." This sucked.
And that was it, everyone. That was Owen Hart's last appearance on Raw.
Yep.
Now, listen. It's not like... I mean, it would suck just as bad if he had lost his life in a main event program.
That's true.
Awful. But the fact that they'd had this stupid stunt planned for a guy doing a parody of a superhero in a feud involving a woman who wants to get naked, a man who won't let her, a porn star, a female bodybuilder, a pimp, and his prostitutes. Amid this, somebody said, hey, let's have someone descend from the ceiling. It'll be cool. So yeah, that pissed me off. And we'll say in hindsight, the crowd enjoyed this match. They were into Val and Godfather as a team.
There was 10 women out there.
Well, that probably helped. Rock is in his gear backstage. And when I say in his gear, boots, knee pads, trunks, and sunglasses. Just pacing in his dressing room. The biggest douchebag. Steve Austin's walking backstage. He passes a Surge machine. So the list of
Right.
those who have appeared on Raw and Nitro in the same night is now Rick Rude and Surge. Meat versus Test.
I couldn't even believe I typed that. That's right. That's where I pretty much gave up.
So,
Meat versus Test.
for those of you, God, we missed it on Nitro. It felt like we missed a month of programming.
Sure.
Here's everything that has happened just in this program since the last time we watched Raw. Ryan Shamrock returned from her kidnapping. She is not mad at her brother. She is not mad at the ministry. She is not mad at people who have left the ministry like the Brood. She is mad at Darren Drozdov.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't know. She distracts Draws on Heat, makes him lose to the Brood. This leads to her joining PMS, who are not involved with the Brood or Draws with the ministry or anything else.
Right.
And then the three of them introduce Meat, who is apparently their sex slave.
Right.
Hey, let's add that somewhere in here, Prince Albert has
Yes,
debuted.
Albert
That's true.
debuted.
The Hardys are back as a team with Michael fucking Hayes. That was out of nowhere.
It was.
Hey, at least they showed us what happened.
We'll get to that later,
It
yeah.
didn't just tell us.
Yeah. So, look, the Union shows up. Test is out here for his match. A mere 10 minutes late, and they didn't care what happened to Vince. Fucking horrible match.
It wasn't that bad.
Test's rolling Russian leg sweeps.
I mean, come on. When I saw Test versus Meat, I was expecting the worst match in history, and it was a passable bad match.
It was merely a bad match.
Yes.
It was not good. It was bad. When they did their Tokyo Dome strike exchange,
Jeez.
and then Meat had to miss a punch. How do you miss a punch and look this bad doing it? And then Jacqueline drop kicks Test for the DQ. You could fuck the fuck right off. Fuck you. A waste of my life. Like, I thought this was like 12 minutes. I went back in time to it. This match was exactly 6 minutes long.
You bothered to go back and time this fucking thing.
Yes.
Dude. You're asking for
I was
it.
so angry, and then it's so stunned. So this match broke the time. They broke the space-time continuum.
Not only that, all the women go after Test afterwards. They attack
Yes,
him.
yes. Right.
And Tori comes out to beat up the other girls. She was a trained wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looked horrible. This is awful television.
And then she tends to Test. Test blows her off.
Yeah.
What's going on? What is happening on the show? I don't understand a goddamn
both
thing.
shows. Both shows.
This makes me hate wrestling now. Because the wrestling that we see now devolved from this.
Oh, no, it didn't. It's
Well,
way
no,
better
it's-
now.
It's much better now, but still, they share ancestry. That pisses me off. There was a bit with the Ministry that took 7 seconds of screen time. Why fucking bother?
So you don't switch channels.
Dan Marino showed in the crowd. They were in Fort Lauderdale. And then a very wet Steve Austin came out for a promo. Did he swim to the building?
Probably was drinking and pouring beer all over himself.
He might have. Runs down his match against Triple H tonight. Threatens to beat up Hunter. Threatens to beat up China. Says he'll beat Taker at the pay-per-view no matter who the ref or refs are. Then the Ministry comes out. Shane threatens Austin that the title at the pay-per-view can change hands in a DQ. Says he will send Austin to the hospital like Vince. He sends the Ministry down to get Austin, but this leaves him alone on the stage. Ken Shamrock jumps him. The Union comes out. The Ministry goes back up to brawl. But as Taker goes back up to the top of the stage, he leaves Paul Bearer in the ring. Austin goes after Bear. I'm so fucking tired.
All you need to know is Steve Austin gave Paul Bearer a stunner, and Paul took an awesome bump.
Yes.
It was great. But yeah,
Undertaker versus Rock and his broken arm in a casket match.
dude.
So they're fighting, and the camera cuts backstage to shoot the... Actually, this is important. They're fighting, and the camera cuts backstage to shoot the Union and the Ministry having a brawl. Okay? They're brawling. Everyone remember that.
Right.
Just keep that in mind for a few minutes later. I will say, the best people's elbows in the world are done to Undertaker, because he does the zombie sit-up, and Rock kicks him back down and then drops the elbow, and it's always cool.
By the way, Undertaker limping heavily
Yeah.
on the way to the ring.
Yeah, this was the period where Undertaker told everybody he had maybe a year left.
Yes. Yes.
Here in 1999.
So Hunter, Shayna, and Shane come out, and it's a casket match. This blatantly interfering. And Taker holds Rock's arm in the stairs. Hunter smashes it with a sledgehammer, and they throw him in the casket for the win.
It was a nice touch when the cast was actually hanging off of his arm because he
They just smashed it. Yeah.
It looked good.
So they lock Rock in the casket, which takes a few minutes. And the casket tips over.
Because he's sneaking out.
There's a false bottom there. He goes into the ring. And then Hunter finds a sledgehammer. And Hunter just fucking goes to war against this casket. Just destroys it.
I couldn't believe he didn't tear everything in his body.
He was... You've never seen a man swing a hammer like
It's like
this.
the casket stole something.
Yeah. He punctures the roof of the casket. Just destroys it. So, of course, this is the point where my wife walks in.
Oh,
Why is that man hitting a coffin with a hammer?
Well, you see.
Vinny, there were worse moments that she could have walked
Many.
in.
There's many. There's
Yeah.
many, but there's not a good one.
No,
I
there
can
is
say
no
any-
good one.
Before I can say anything, she just holds up her hand and shakes her head and leaves the room. That was the whole conversation. That was how she came home from work today.
Great.
So, yeah. So they go to break. Okay, think about this. The former 2 or 3 time champion, whatever it is, has just been locked in a casket, which is then tipped over and beaten with a sledgehammer to death.
Sure.
They go back to open this casket. It's Tony Garea, it's Sergeant Slaughter, and some other goofs. And they pry this casket open. And the response is, Ew.
Yeah, like it smells.
Like it's a joke.
Not only that, it's like he already decomposed.
Why is this so?
He's been in there for 2 fucking minutes. Why does it smell?
They
Being
saw
so-
something wretched in
Yeah, they
that
saw
casket.
they saw something gross, but they didn't care about the human being in there. They were just grossed out by all that icky blood.
Wait, no, he's dead, they figured, so.
They didn't. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, they did not care about Dwayne Johnson's life.
They
No.
looked at it like Rock's eyeball was hanging out.
The back of his head.
Sure.
So, of course, by the way, Rock is fine at the pay-per-view 6 days later.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hardy Boys and Michael Hayes versus The Brood.
Yeah.
So,
This
Have
was
you heard-
bizarre because, like, Jeff is doing the senton, which is not a finish. Mm-hmm. Edge is doing this fantastic spear,
Dude, the
which
spear he-
is just a move.
Yeah.
They look so young.
Yes.
Michael Hayes is out there throwing great right hands and literally nothing else.
we'll get to Hayes in a minute.
It was bizarre.
Have you heard the expression "stay in your lane"?
Sure.
No.
Stay in your lane is basically,
Do what you do good.
I
Don't
know,
try
you
what you do bad.
jackass. Of course, everyone's heard it.
well, Michael Hayes was not dressing in his lane. He looked like a
Have you never watched
Have
wrestling?
you ever seen Michael
Have you
Hayes?
never seen Michael
To
Hayes
this day,
one
I'm gonna
time in
Google
your
Michael
goddamn
Hayes right now.
life?
Hold on.
Michael
No,
Hayes.
no,
he was
Chris.
dressing like the Hardys. The Hardys could pull it off. He looked ridiculous.
Have you ever seen... Dude,
What in the fuck are you talking
Dude,
about?
you type in Michael Hayes clothes, the first image of Hayes that comes up, he's nude with a Confederate flag around his crotch. All right?
That's the first thing.
This is the man.
Have you ever watched a Hall of Fame?
This is like
Have
the-
you ever watched NWA where his cock is hanging out the entire time?
This is the best he's ever looked.
This actually was. You're not wrong.
In fact, here, Michael Hayes Hall of Fame. Let's take a look at some of his
Oh.
his Sunday best, Michael Hayes. Here he is in an orange suit with a white fedora. Here he is in a black cowboy hat. Here he is in a white jacket open with a Bad Street USA t-shirt. Here he is in a pinstripe vest with another fedora.
Vinny, I got it.
You are so wrong.
Okay.
The Hardys did it. Rating Jeff Hardy's closet is the best thing that ever happened to Michael Hayes. So listen. Yes, this match was a lot of fun. They did a thing on Heat where, for some reason, the Brood were going to give Hayes a bloodbath, and for some reason, the Hardys saved him, and the Vampires got bloody instead. They had a 2018 Raw match, very fast paced, totally choreographed, really good.
Why did I Google this?
I don't know why you did this.
Go ahead.
There's a vampire in peril. Has got the heat on
The
Christian.
fuck is he wearing?
Edge gets a hot tag, spears Jeff to death, as I mentioned. So Michael Hayes is in there, and he's trying his best to hang with these, if you're pardon the term, young bucks. So
Here he is in a blouse.
he lays Edge out and then goes to pose in the turnbuckles, but Edge pops up and gets behind him, and Edge gets him on his shoulders and turns, and Edge drops to his ass, and he goes to drop Michael Hayes to his face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in 20 whatever years of pro wrestling Michael Hayes has ever taken this bump before.
No.
Because it's an easy one to take. You control yourself. You know where the ground is. You put your hand down, you take it. He bounced off his forehead.
It looked good.
No!
I mean, the move looked good.
I mean, it looked dangerous. It looked violent.
Sure.
So all the vampires hit DDTs. Edge does a big flip dive. Hayes backdrops Matt out onto the bloodsuckers, and they're brawling outside. And the ref threw the match out. Hey, you know what? This felt like a completely out of control wild brawl.
Hold on, we got technical difficulties. What's going on, Rob?
No, it froze on Craig for about 5 seconds.
Oh.
But, hold on. It's gonna
Hopefully it was when Vinny was ranting about Michael Hayes' outfits.
Fortunately, no. It was still live for that. We're good now.
This was good. I don't know. It's probably the only good thing on Raw. We'll see if I forget what else happens. Now,
What was good? I'm still stuck on Michael Hayes' clothes.
the Hardys Brood match.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Now, there is a finish. There was a finish, so I should be thankful for that. They rang the bell, it's a DQ, and then immediately cut to the back. A bloody Rock is being loaded into an ambulance. Shane then tells Hunter it's 2 down, 1 to go.
Who wants to do it?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about this as long as I live.
They air a video package explaining the story of Head and Pierre.
Right.
Okay, Head is Al Snow's fucking mannequin head. Pierre is a deer head.
He's the one-eyed deer head.
This is so painfully, violently.
Do you remember when you said there was worse things my wife could have walked in on?
This.
What a minute. I was humiliated and she wasn't there.
This. You know what it is? Al Snow is always so holier than thou.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there another more holier than thou wrestler than fucking Al Snow? And he's out there doing this bullshit. A fucking deer head in a goddamn box, crying about his deer head that got beat up, giving a fucking eulogy on live television to a deer head.
Like, Al Snow's rep at the time was like he was a really talented...
Underrated?
He was a really talented
Well,
guy.
I've been watching his matches.
He's always in the
Who's
wrong place at the wrong
underrating
time.
him? Himself?
Al Snow sucked. His comedy sucked. His wrestling sucked. His promos sucked.
His finish was really awesome.
Shut up.
Just saying.
He's so bad. This was the worst. This, as you noted, was 1,000 times less funny than Roddy Piper doing jokes he apologized for on Nitro. The camera zooms in on him. He makes a noise that is meant to imitate a dying deer. No one in this arena thought this was any funny at all whatsoever. Just the fucking worst. Bob Holly came out, hopefully to kill him. Instead, Snow kicked his ass, left him laying, and this leads to Snow defending his title against Holly at the pay-per-view. He has just destroyed the challenger, left him laying, made him look like no kind of threat. And then, as I wrote here, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Michael Cole looks into the camera and says, I'm next to this door here of Steve Austin's dressing room. He's going to come out. I'm going to interview him. Then the camera cuts down the hall where the Ministry is peeking out from behind a corner saying, when Austin jumps out, we'll get him. Cole interviews Austin. The Ministry jumps out to get him, but then instead, the Union's there. They go brawling with them.
I'm out of energy.
Okay, here's the point I was talking about earlier. We have our third or fourth Union Ministry brawl backstage. They go to commercial. There's a Big Show, Big Boss Man match. The two sides have stopped fighting long enough to do entrances, and then they all just start fighting again.
Big Show is so fat.
What happened to Big Show?
He's just a big fat guy.
Big Show
No
looks
definition. He's
so-
fat and sloppy. Just looks horrible.
He looks so good, so young in WCW, and he's so bad here.
Yeah.
Boss Man says, I shall whip this giant man into the ropes. So, rather than push the guy into the ropes first, or, I don't know, manhandle him somehow, he grabs Big Show's wrist, and Big Show walks backwards into the ropes, and Boss Man whips him in. And then Show hits a choke slam for, miracle of miracles, a clean pin.
I couldn't believe it.
Somebody fucked up.
Yeah.
That can't be what they had planned.
It was a shoot. Clearly.
And then it was to the back, so Shane could give Hunter a pep talk.
Beaver cleavage.
Done. Next.
Ministry getting away. Who gives a shit? So anyway, a few moments ago, Rob here said, I used to watch this and I don't remember it being as bad as you guys say, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, every Tuesday, you produce a show, and you waltz in here at like 7:50. So you watch the last 10 minutes of Raw
Yes.
every week when you come in.
Right.
No shit, you don't think it seems so bad. The only good thing, literally every Monday, the only good thing we ever see is the last 10 minutes of Raw. Am I wrong?
You're exactly
Every
right.
fucking week.
You're exactly right.
We got Stone Cold Steve Austin here versus Triple H. And I've said this before, but it was more like I had watched Nitro first, then I watched this show. And after 5 fucking hours, out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've said it before, this reiterated more than ever before. It's like the way people talk about Bruno Sammartino. Like, well, the rest of the show is bullshit, but Bruno's matches are real. Steve Austin comes out here, and he is a professional wrestler. And he comes out here, and he does professional wrestling promos, and then he has professional wrestling matches in the middle of all of this bullshit. It's like, I swear to God, it's like he comes out and you switch a channel, and it's all of a sudden something different.
Sure.
He's never involved in this stupid bullshit. Yeah, like everybody remembers he came out in a goddamn beer truck. That was on one fucking show. At the beginning of the show to lead to a wrestling match at the end of the show. Comes out here and they're just working an old school wrestling match. They're kicking each other's ass. It's all deadly serious, old school, up and down, brawling. It's just fucking great.
Yes, that all happened.
And my point is, like, who's the top guy today?
Well, Roman.
Suffering Succotash. Yeah. all of this. He's just like every other bullshit geek on the show. Steve Austin wasn't. You turn on Raw, there's an hour and 40 minutes of shit. Okay? Some of it's funny, a lot of it isn't. Some of it's good, most of it isn't. But then Steve Austin comes out, and it's fucking on. That's what happened here in this match. This match was great. Every week this happens. And Hunter has gained another 5 pounds.
That probably helped.
Yeah.
He no longer looks like a guy who could have been a swimmer.
No.
And keep in mind, this incredible transformation that's been going on over the last 4 or 5 months with Triple H, he's way bigger and more shredded today.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is amazing how that works.
Good genetics.
But you do bring up a good point. Between the new body, the new gear, he had trunks on this week, the new entrance with the light show, the new music.
Another new music. Another new song.
I think he had this one last week. But
Yeah, this one last
I think
week.
they finally settled on one. It took a long.
It was no good.
It's his music. I don't know what to tell you, man. You get used to it. The point is, and between the sledgehammer attack earlier, Hunter was a top guy here.
He was a top guy.
This
here.
is the first time he really actually felt like a top guy. He'd worked a main event or two before, but he was always Sean's little buddy or the leader of the upper mid-card crew or Rock's flunky after he turned. This was the first time where he felt like Triple H is the legit main eventer we have all known and loved for the past 2 decades.
Now let's go back to Austin for a second. They're having a great wrestling match. He gets a near fall off a vertical suplex that the crowd is into. That's what kind of a wrestling match this was. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's Raw, and so the goddamn symbol starts lowering from the ceiling. The announcers use every word to not say cross. It's a symbol. It's a dagger. Apparently a dagger is better than a cross. This goddamn thing comes down. Undertaker lips down in the ring. We get an EQ.
No, we don't get a bell.
Really? We had no bell this
There was
time?
no bell
Oh,
for
man. I apologize.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Undertaker attacks, and now it's time for the usual bullshit, because there's so much bullshit on this show. But Steve Austin is involved. But what happens when Steve Austin is out here with this bullshit? Well, they try to put him on this cross, but he double crosses them. Undertaker ends up handcuffed to the cross. Austin gets a last laugh, talks trash to the guy, he gets hoisted up to the ceiling. Yes. This is going to lead to a match at the pay-per-view,
Yes.
which I have no memory of.
Well,
but I do have to say...
Owen Hart died is why you have no memory of it.
Exactly. Leading into the death of Owen Hart, have you looked at this symbol?
It's a big fucking cross with swords on it.
It's a giant cross, and it's got a thing, like a little platform,
Yeah,
like a foot
I was
square.
watching Taker here.
Yeah. So basically, what you have to do is, your arms are handcuffed to this thing, okay?
They have handles too, though.
Taker was handcuffed.
He's handcuffed. There were no handles. He's
No,
just
there was
handcuffed.
handles as well.
He wasn't grabbing them.
Okay,
he was
fine.
he was handcuffed to the handles.
The point of this is, he's standing
Yes, this itty
Yes.
bitty
on
little-
this tiny little platform.
Huge feet.
If this fucking guy would have
Yeah.
slipped off that thing,
Yeah.
or what about if something would have gone wrong as it's being hoisted up to the ceiling? And obviously we can't say, well, that would never happen because it happened on fucking Sunday.
Yeah.
If that goddamn thing would have fallen off the ceiling, that guy, like, there's no way to save yourself.
No.
You're handcuffed to a goddamn giant. They didn't give a shit about anybody.
No, it is so obvious when you watch this program for the past few months, and this episode in particular. The Undertaker's helplessly dangling 20-some feet above the ring, and he's the Undertaker, so he's playing his part and cackling along. But complete doom was inevitable. Something tragic was going to happen.
Would have been really cool if the symbol would have broken and would have stuck in the ring. Anyway,
Yeah. So
No.
I'm just
That wouldn't have been. Nothing saving this shit.
the only other thing I have to add here is that obviously, as I mentioned, the company was doing everything to make Hunter a star, and Hunter himself was doing everything he could to make him a star. Let's not overlook Steve Austin going out of his way to make Hunter a star, too.
Sure.
Just bumping his ass off, flying over the announce table, flying over the other way.
Although he did throw Hunter over the announce table without removing any of the monitors.
Yeah, well, then,
I was gonna bring
just
that up.
smashes on these monitors.
I was going to bring that up. They, for the longest time, did not take the monitors out. Nowadays, they go and they pull the monitors. It looks so forced.
well, it's
Well,
fake.
yeah, you're trying not to
Yeah.
kill anybody.
I understand you don't want to impale somebody with a monitor, but at the same time,
If this was real, you would.
exactly.
They're competitors now.
I see.
They're performers.
Yeah, they're performers.
Let's do this finishes report and get the fuck out of here. I'm so fucking tired of wrestling right now.
Come on, dude. Nothing's working.
The fucking horrible finishes on this goddamn terrible show were a 6-man tag that just ended when everyone just left and a promo started. Pin after distraction. DQ in a horrible match. I felt twice as long as it was. Win in a casket match due to interference. Double DQ in a 6-man tag. Clean pin. And then non-finished in the main event due to Symbol descending from the sky.
That's what happened.
That Raw was so much worse going back over it.
Yeah. This had to be the worst.
Those were...
This had to be like the worst ever on this show. Like 2 shows of this caliber.
I got through that Raw and I thought, man, that was bad. I moved on. That Raw was fucking atrocious. That Raw was painful.
Horrible.
So Raw 314, May 31st, 1999. So this was, in real life, taped 24 hours after the tribute show and 48 hours after Owen Hart died, and everyone has just moved on. It's like you're not you're not allowed to say his name. There was like one sign that made TV. And otherwise they've all just it's in the past. Can't live in the past.
They show these clips from Over the Edge. Steve Austin won the title in the main event because the show must go on when someone dies. It was Steve Austin versus The Undertaker.
Austin lost the title.
Yeah, he lost the title. Undertaker won. Fast count from Shane. I have zero memory of this.
Well, why would you?
Zero.
Honestly, I'd be greatly disturbed if you did.
So then, 2 days after Owen Hart dies, the show opens with Druids carrying a cross down to the ring.
Yeah.
And the announcement that tonight Undertaker will reveal the greater power. And they said that the Undertaker has been talking about the greater power for weeks. Does anybody remember this?
He might have mentioned.
I think he mentioned it one time.
Maybe one time. Where has it been on Heat? Has it been on the pay-per-view?
Maybe at Twitter for anyone.
Where has he been talking about the, as they called it at the beginning, greater power? I seem to recall that they were like teasing the greater power forever.
It was a week or two.
Instead, they like mention it on this show like it's a big deal. The guy comes out at the end, we don't know who it is, and they reveal him the next week.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, did we mention, I know we have before, but it bears repeating, 1999 Triple H so strongly resembles classic Chris Jericho. He's either in shiny leather pants and a super, super, super tight sweatshirt halfway unzipped with no shirt underneath.
Yeah.
Long hair flowing back. So yeah, there's like 20 people in the ring, plus this big-ass Symbol taking up space. It's very crowded. And Shane takes credit for getting the title off Austin. Taker says winning the title was phase 1. Now it's time for phase 2. The higher power or greater power. They went back and forth on that. I think just as they're not supposed to say crucifix, they're not supposed to say higher power. But they slipped up a lot more than they did with the Symbol. So Vince comes out. Now, this all left me very confused. So, to make a long story short, Vince challenges... First, he books Taker versus Austin tonight. And then Shane...
For the title.
For the title. Shane says, no, I half own the company. That will not be a title match. So then Vince says, I want to fight Undertaker. And if I beat him, then Austin gets a title shot. And Shane says, okay. But if anyone interferes, then Austin doesn't get a title shot.
Yes.
Now, apparently this later came to be, if Vince doesn't win, Austin never gets a title shot ever again.
Yeah, in the same segment.
It did?
Yes.
Okay, they did not make that clear to me.
Yes. Well, I mean, Shane flat out said, if Vince does not beat Undertaker, Austin will never, ever get another shot at the WWE title.
Right.
Now, maybe if they took more time to build this up and promote it, instead of announcing it at the top of the show and doing the match at hour 1. So everyone's leaving. Austin's music hits. He's one of the Druids. He attacks Taker.
What amazing timing by that music guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guess Austin slipped him a $5.
I guess, yeah. So Austin attacks, the Union attacks. There's a huge brawl, and then there's a sign from the primitive early days of the internet wrestling community. Does anyone else remember Sushi X?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, Sushi X.
I got a question for everybody. Has there ever, in the entire history of wrestling, been a more forgettable faction of actual top guys than the Union?
It's up there. The problem is, it's
Top guys, Vinny.
I understand. No, but
There can't be.
the only thing I can say about the Union is they were so dumb at the time. It made them memorable.
It didn't count.
Yeah, you can't call
There's
it forget.
nothing memorable about the Union.
I remember the Union existed
I don't.
because it was bad. I remember how bad the
It
Union
was so forgettable. Has there ever been?
I can't name a better one. I can't name a more forgettable faction of top guys.
I mean, if they exist, they must be real forgettable.
Apparently, because we've forgotten them.
Yeah.
So then Austin's pissed at the Union. He shoves Test down. Just a dick.
He is a total cock.
Billy Gunn versus Big Show.
The Union determines that Steve Austin is now on his own.
I guess so.
They
yeah.
tried to help, and he was a dick, so he's on his own.
Well, I don't blame him. He was a dick. I left him alone too. They did some stuff. Show calls for the chokeslam. Billy walks out for the count out.
Well, what happened was they're having this boring match, and Billy decides he's going to leave. And literally, he has just gotten out of the ring, and Road Dogg's music hits. Road Dogg beats his ass. He throws him in the ring. Big Show starts grabbing the guy by the neck, and they suddenly just start playing Big Show's music. None of the announcers have any idea what the finish is. They presume it must be a count out because they're like nothing else makes any sense. It's just like, I mean, it could have been a DQ, except they played Big Show's music. So it is a mystery.
And then after all of that, Billy gets thrown into the ring and chokeslammed anyway.
Yeah. Why didn't the Big Show just beat Mr. Ass? Anybody have a good
This
answer?
was not a King of the Ring match. He could still win that tournament.
Yes.
So, by the way, I think, and this may not be news really, but I think Paul White's done. He's now just Big Show.
Yeah.
We've gotten that point. Beaver Cleavage and his mom were backstage being incesty.
God, I just love these Twitter folks on Twitter and the board who they're so excited for me to
Yes.
get mad about Beaver Cleavage and Christian. It's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, it's bad.
It's not worth your breath.
But I mean, in the ring, Beaver Cleavage is so much better than he was as a headbanger.
Yes.
Sure.
They had a totally fine match.
Yes.
And
They worked hard.
I
They
mean-
both look good, really, wrestling-wise.
Sure.
But yes, it's an all... We know this.
it's a dumb gimmick.
On a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 0. There's nothing good about this gimmick. It's an all-time stinker of a gimmick. You can bury it all you want. But you took the Headbangers, a horrible team, and you cut the shittier guy. So the leftovers, by default, are much better. This match was fun.
They named him Harry
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Beaver Cleavage.
For those of you who don't recall, it's the short, thick headbanger, Mosh, and his quote-unquote mom was played by Mariana Kamlos, a pro bodybuilder who married Paul Lazenby in 2004 and then passed away due to breast cancer that same year.
That's some good sleuthing, Vince.
Oh yeah, it was real hard to give up. So, regardless, they're doing this match. Christian does a frog elbow when Mark Briscoe was like 6. And then Michael Hayes and the Hardy Boys run out, hit Christian with a cane, and Beaver hits a reverse suplex for the win. Christian does a big dive onto the Hardys, and it turns into a hell of a brawl between the Hardys and Vampires. This is a lot of good action in this segment.
Sure.
And it occurred to me later in the show, but I'll just say this here. I talked about the timing of everything. These guys had a lot of stress to work out of their system. And when you're a pro wrestler and you have stress to work out, you go in the ring and you wrestle really hard. So the wrestling on the show, by and large, was very good, especially for Attitude Era Raw. Taker tells Shane nothing's going to stand in his way. Jeff Jarrett versus Godfather.
Once again, they're putting Deborah and her puppies on the line. Don't you remember they did that like a month ago?
Yes.
And then it led to absolutely nothing?
More than that.
They just
like
didn't even
December.
abide by the stipulation at all.
Yes.
And she was going to be one of Godfather's ladies as well.
This is dumb.
I was a big fan of Godfather's ladies this week.
They were better than usual.
Yes.
The one in the white.
They were better than usual.
If there's a good time with woman in white tonight, it's Tori.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
give
Regardless, there's nothing wrong with these ladies here. So even Godfather is taking this giant ass over tea kettle bump over the ropes to the floor. So then, yes, Deborah jumps in the apron and tries to flash the Godfather. And then one of Godfather's women flashes her back. And then Jarrett hits Godfather with Deborah's women's championship belt and pins him to win the Intercontinental title.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Vince McMahon versus Undertaker.
Oh my God. You know, So they're having this match. It's bad because Vince is in there.
Sure.
Fans are cheering for Vince, which was bizarre. Although there was a lot of crowd sweetening on this show, especially when the Hardys were out there and they're supposed to be heels. I couldn't figure out why they were being booed so loud. They're supposed to be heels, so they piped in some booing for that segment. But Vince is out there, and finally Vince makes a comeback. And oh my God, the punches this fucking guy threw. Shane's his kid.
Now we know why.
Like, Shane can do some crazy things, like the coast to coast, and he's very good at falling, okay? But, like, neither of them are good athletes at all. Like,
no coordination.
No, it's
Shane
astounding.
has leaping ability, but yes, they're
Mostly falling, Vinny.
when he was a young man, he had a cool leapfrog.
Okay, he had a good leap.
He's done shooting star presses.
He has done shooting. I'll give him that. I'll give him the shooting star press. It's very, 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 very difficult. But holy fucking shit.
His punches are awful.
Jesus.
Yes.
Vince throwing these fucking punches at The Undertaker. I was like, oh.
But he was trying. You know?
Well, they're both fucking trying. That's not the issue,
Undertaker was
Vinny.
succeeding. No, that I guess I'll watch the Van Hammer later. Listen, I've seen a lot of really, really horrible Vince McMahon matches. This only went 2 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the worst match I ever saw, but
It wasn't the worst Vince match.
Vince's
I ever saw.
offense.
Yeah, you're right. He's not very good.
No, terrible.
So Taker's beating up and he throws the ref down and gets disqualified. Taker has a chance to remove Steve Austin as a contender for the rest of his life. And he loses his temper and hits a ref.
So he chases the ref through the crowd. He's mad at the ref.
Yes.
Yeah.
You dumb shit.
So Taker beats up the Stooges, chases the ref away. Fans are calling for Austin, and that's that. Actually, no, Cole interviews Austin, who says he never wants help from anyone, and he tells Cole to leave. He's a dick. Mankind comes out. He challenges Triple H to a no DQ, falls count anywhere match. Says Chyna had walked in on him in the shower. Clearly, she wanted to touch him in an impure way.
Now, how would she do that? Just randomly in the dude's locker room?
It's
I'm looking for logic here.
a lot of these locker rooms.
Hey, we've been in locker rooms
Yeah.
with women before.
There's just
It happens.
There's just a locker room.
Come
You
on.
you act like adults. It just happens.
They acted like adults?
Well, sometimes.
Get out of here, Vinny, you idiot.
Sometimes. Hey, it happens.
No.
It does.
It was the 90s in WWE. Are you kidding me? I mean,
Regardless,
sexual harassment suits came out in the 90s.
he says he's a married man and he will not allow China to touch mankind's manhood. So he leaves and he starts walking up the ramp. And they go to break and they come back and say, "Look what happened when we got to the top of the ramp."
Yeah, they couldn't keep the
You
camera on
couldn't.
him.
4 seconds, guys.
No.
So he's been brawling with the big boss man since before the break. He's still brawling with him. And then Road Dogg comes up to fight Boss Man, and that match just starts.
I mean, this was a taped show, if I recall correctly. So
I believe we mentioned that, yes.
Sure.
So Road Dogg versus Boss Man. Place is just going nuts for this. People love them some Road Dogg. And then Boss Man just hits him with a nightstick for the DQ.
God, Jiminy Christmas.
The ref takes the nightstick away. Boss Man pulls out a chain and chokes Dogg with it. I can only assume this must have led to a chain match somewhere. Although, maybe not, because it was the Attitude Era and nothing makes sense. Shane is throwing a tantrum backstage. And Viscera and Midian are trying to calm him down. So Shane's like throwing the punch bowl and he picks up the bottle of champagne, whatever, and chucks it across the room. Meanwhile, Midian and Viscera, it's like they're playing Godzilla. They're just... That's all they do. I couldn't stop watching them. I was laughing harder and harder the longer this went. They showed the King of the Ring brackets.
Ah! There's 1,000 people in the King of the Ring, and one of them is China. I'm like, holy fucking shit.
They finally showed brackets, and now Brian.
God damn it.
That's right.
Literally, how many people were in this King of the Ring tournament?
16.
Oh, fuck.
Double digits is more than... If it's more than this many, that's too many for a tournament.
Vinny, if this were a real tournament, fine. It's a WWE Vince Russo Attitude Era tournament with fucking 16 people. It's going to be a shit show. Guaranteed.
Didn't pay that much attention to who was in it. They pointed out China.
Yeah, China versus Val Venus is a first round match.
Did you also know they said all the first round matches are going to be on Heat?
Oh, great. Cool. I don't have to watch them then.
Right.
X-Pac and Kane versus the Acolytes. So remember earlier when I said all these guys were feeling it and giving it their all tonight?
Sure.
There was a dope brawl in this match between a Fox News correspondent and the future mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Wow.
Kane and Bradshaw were awesome here. So, cut off X-Pac, Shane shows up. Here's their idea for a finish.
Oh,
Write this down.
Yeah.
Vinny is not making up.
Write this
Hold on a
down.
second. Hold on a second. As you explain this, Vinny, okay? What I want everyone to pretend is that Vince Verhey is like Vince Russo.
Sure.
So explain this finish, Vinny, okay? So I'm Vince, I'm coming up to you, I'm saying, it's X-Pac and Kane versus the Acolytes,
Bro.
okay? I need a finish here. I want the Acolytes to go over. What do you got, Vince?
What if Shane is out there, X-Pac sets up, I believe, Bradshaw for the Bronco Buster.
Okay.
He goes to the middle of the ring, he turns his back, he's cross-chopping and jumping. Meanwhile, Shane sneaks onto the apron, he holds up a chair in the corner. X-Pac turns around, goes to the Bronco Buster, and runs into this chair like the biggest goddamn moron geek goof you ever saw in your life on the planet Earth.
God damn, I like it.
So Shane holds the chair there. Poor X-Pac. Just does his job.
What a champ.
What a trooper.
What a fucking idiot.
Take one for the team.
This poor guy.
He has to turn and pretend he can't see a chair in the corner and run into it as fast as he can.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Write this finish down on your notepad and then set your notepad on fire and never speak of it again. So
New tag team champion.
Bradshaw follows the clothesline from hell. The Acolytes are the tag team champions. This is a very fun match until the stupid finish.
You know what's funny is, like, if X-Pac would have run for the Bronco Buster and Bradshaw would have just put up his boot
Yeah.
Fine.
and X-Pac would have hit his balls on the boot and then taken the clothesline from hell,
100%
like,
better.
it would have been a clean finish, but he would have looked like way less of a fucking geek than with what they did.
Yeah.
Dude, it's okay to lose. You know?
We have the debut of GDTV,
Yeah, GDTV.
which I can only assume stands for goddamn TV.
It was supposed to be Gold Dust
Dust.
TV, but
sure.
I figure they thought the D was too obvious, so they ended up dropping the D.
So somebody was sick in the bathroom. Went on for a long time. Gosh. Turned out to be Mark Henry, which made sense why it was so long, since they were trying to get him to quit. And that was it. It was like a 2-minute skit of that. And Jim Ross was indignant about all this, and I do not blame him. Val Venus and Ken Shamrock. So now Nicole Bass and Val Venus are a couple.
They're a thing.
They're a thing.
He has bedded some of the hottest women
Oh.
in the porn industry, and now Nicole Bass is his type.
He's moved on, man. Different flavor of the month.
Guess
You're
so.
Val Venus, that's how you roll. So between Nicole Bass, Beaver Cleavage, Mrs. Cleavage, and China, we had a show chock full of very large women who died young. And actually large men who died young, now that I think about it. So Jared comes out, distracts Shamrock. Val kicks the ropes into his nuts and pins him. Shamrock lays out Val, chases Jeff to the back. Val is upset with Nicole, I guess, for letting Shamrock hit him.
Yeah, she was supposed to watch his back.
I see.
She told him that she could handle anything.
I see.
He wants to know where the hell she was.
Yeah. And then Val says, "It's okay, you can make it up to me right now," and they leave together. Presumably to bang.
Thank you, Vinny. I couldn't figure out what they were talking about.
Let me make a note of that.
Taker tells the higher power that he will not fail him. Mankind versus Triple H in a no DQ false count anywhere match. All I remember about this,
A backslide on the floor.
backslide on the floor.
That was awesome. Hey, listen.
False count anywhere. Why not?
Mankind Triple H hardcore match. This match was a very good match.
It's always good.
Triple H and Mankind work great together. Triple H should employ Mankind for life. Mankind made this guy a main event.
Oh, that's clear. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I was watching this too, and first off, Hunter whips out the sledgehammer. Sledgehammer now part of the act. They're doing all these wacky spots, and finally we get China involved, and she gets bumped. Basically, Mankind boots Hunter, who bonks into her, who smashes into the steps. Hunter just ignores that she's been killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gets back into the ring. She gets in there, sledgehammer to the balls of Mankind.
Hammer to the hammer.
Yep, hammer to the hammer. And then Hunter whacks him in the leg with his sledgehammer. And amazingly, the most astounding thing about this match is he didn't pedigree the guy. I couldn't even believe my eyes.
He just hit him in the leg and pinned him.
But anyway, they pin him, and all these geeks come out to help Mankind. And then Hunter trying to come back, and they continue destroying the leg. They stretch around Mankind. He's put in an ambulance. He's driven away, and it suddenly hit me. We are 6 months away from their famous Royal Rumble match.
Yes.
And we are only 7 months away from when Mick Foley retired for the first time.
Yes.
We've been watching these Attitude Era shows since 1995, so it's been 4 years now, okay? Sometimes, like, I'm watching Nitro, and it's like, oh my fucking God, it's been an eternity. My life, so much of my life I'm wasting with this bullshit. But then there's other times where it's like, this Attitude Era is the fucking blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blink of an eye. We are right now less than 2 years away from the WCW dying.
Yes.
And the invasion starting and
That's
all
the
of
only
that.
thing that keeps me going sometimes is that knowledge.
It's crazy. Like this era, this Attitude Era is like, a few years.
Yeah.
I fucking watch Raw and it's like, you know, in some ways it's the same show it was 10 fucking years ago. But this famous Attitude Era is like 3 or 4 years and it's over. I can't believe we're 6 months away from that. It's impossible to believe.
So I do love that in this match, Jim Ross is trying so hard on because, spoiler alert, everyone, Hunter's going to be world champion in a few months. So they're trying to put him over as, you know, giving him the superstar push. He's got a new look, got new music. He's never going to lose again. And on top of that, Jim Ross is bending over backwards to talk about what a technical wizard he is. Like he's Jack Briscoe or something. Meanwhile, Hunter's in the ring swinging this hammer like John Henry. Just, okay.
It was a good match, good angle. Mm-hmm. Hunter came off like a star.
Yes. So he continues to attack Foley until The Rock makes the save. And I should add, I neglected this earlier, Mankind in his promo earlier made fun of the smell what The Rock is cooking catchphrase, or aped it. If you smell where the sock is hiding, right, what he said. But there's more seeds being planted. So yes, Foley is loaded into an ambulance. Test leaves with him. Undertaker versus Steve Austin. We have burned through this show. They had plenty of time. Felt like a world title match, mostly brawling on the floor. Austin's taking all kinds of bumps outside.
By the way, this was not the very, very famous Undertaker-Austin match. We're a month away. In 1 month, it will be the Austin-Undertaker match that did a 9.5 rating and 10 million viewers for one match. It was more than 10 million.
It's funny, too, because they've had so many matches. And then something later on, or that we've seen
They must do
times?
something to build to it well.
Apparently.
Well,
I don't remember.
I mean, part of the problem is WCW continues to just tank.
That's
there's
true.
that.
So there's more and more people that are switching over.
Yeah.
I remember at this time when we were watching it back in the day, I got sick of seeing Undertaker versus
I remember this
Stone
too.
Cold.
Yes. It was like Usos and New Day.
Exactly.
So, anyway, Austin has the stunner. Paul Bearer yanks the ref out of the ring. The Ministry runs out, attacks Austin for the DQ. They tie him in the ropes. The lights go down. The Druids chant. The greater power strides down to the ring in a big-ass cloak. He reveals his face to Austin, who is uber pissed, and the show ends.
You know, it's funny because obviously we're watching it 19 years later. We all know who the higher power is, but I'm watching here on the network, and this Druid gets down real close to Austin, and he flashes his face real quick, and Austin goes, "You son of a bitch." By the way, we should know who it is immediately when Austin calls him a son of a bitch, but show immediately goes off the air, and then there's a preview for next week, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's Vince.
Oh, man.
Ha! Smiling after unmasking.
Man, you spoiled it for everybody.
They spoiled it.
I know.
I'm reporting news right here.
So, yeah, that was a better Raw than usual.
And you know what? I actually think that Vince was in that costume live at the show.
I think so, too.
Watching him, because I totally forgot this part. I remember the big reveal next week. But watching Vince try to walk like a druid.
Yeah. Like, why didn't they make it more a ski mask? Like, all the fans saw that it was Vince. I guess they just didn't care. There was no real... I mean, there was an internet, but not like there is today.
Yeah.
But there you go, yeah. Higher power revealed next week, everybody. After all these months of Undertaker talking about the greater power,
Sure.
we're going to find out who this is. Alrighty.
Well, only one thing left to do, Brian.
Let's hit that music.
There you go. The finishes on this show were: count out when a guy walked away from a match, pinfall after interference, pinfall after belt shot, DQ due to attack on the ref, DQ due to nightstick, pin after the babyface ran face first into a steel chair like the biggest goddamn moron on the planet, pinfall after nutshot, pinfall in what was effectively a handicap hardcore match, DQ due to gang attack.
Huh. Not too bad.
It wasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show, though. I mean, the
It was
finishes
a much better Raw. It
sucked.
was a much better Raw than has been in a long time.
Absolutely.
Yep.